He wants to get moving. Hey, welcome back to Tony Talking Trash about music here. And I'm here with our good friend of the program, Dino Devic. And we are talking about the great rock band from the late period of the 60s, I guess. Influential to everyone involved. The Stooges, one of the UR bands or whatever you want to call it. We did the Velvet Underground before, and now it's time to move on to the Stooges. They were signed in about, in the early 60s, 1966, along with the MCA to Elektra Records. Were basically Danny Goldberg was the one that ended up getting them signed. Once they had them, they put them together with John Cale, and off started a career of some of the craziest and deepest and wildest music of all. You have anything general to say about the Stooges here and their place? Seems to keep growing, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the Stooges were like we talked about with the Velvet Underground with Lou. The Stooges were the base for Iggy Pop. That's where you first heard of Iggy. Iggy was another person that fronted a legendary band, which was the Stooges. So uh, a lot of what he did later on, you can definitely see the influence of his first band. Different in different ways, lyrically at times. Certainly the sound. Of the band. I mean, it was pretty raw. I mean, you always hear the Stooges and the MC5
That's right.
uh, mentioned in the same sentence.
Yeah, same breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were originally of the same time, but boy, they certainly went divergent and
Different ways.
apart pretty quickly, didn't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, but you always hear those. They'll say this. I mean, the Detroit connection,
Yeah,
and it'll be like legendary Detroit bands, the MC5 and the Stooges, or the Stooges and the MC5. But the Stooges definitely went their own way.
and I
Yeah.
guess the other big one back then that came out of there was Ted Nugget. You know.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
the reason why I say that, guys, I joke. We used to go to Morgantown to Pittsburgh, to go to concerts, and it was funny. There was a guy that evidently lived near one of the bridge overpasses. On one side of the bridge, it said Ted Nugent. It left out the on the other side. It said Ted Nugget. Nuggget. So neither of them were right. Going into Washington, PA, it was.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. I know exactly where you mean. Ted.
Hey man, let's get started, dude. Let's get started with this fantastic band, Stooges. We're going to rank. What we're going to rank is some studio records here. I have thrown in the immensely. We have 5 studio records, but I have thrown in one extra record. And the only reason I threw in this one extra record is that I think it's important enough to include in here, and it's certainly important enough in our childhood and in our growing up to be rated along with the normal records. So we have decided to include the ever shoddy but ever magnificent Metallic KO as part of our 6 records that we are ranking. And with that, we'll start on this very short list. And 2 of these are reunion records, actually. But we will start with Dino here on number 6. Is number 6?
Yeah, number 6 has definitely got to be the weirdness from 2007. Um,
Agreed.
yeah, and a lot of the fault, as far as I'm concerned, in this album is with Iggy. So lyrics, etc. Not. It just seemed like there was a little bit of well, maybe a lot of laziness on this album. It just didn't seem too inspired. I didn't, when you hear the other albums from the classic period, and then you listen to the weirdness. And now the thing is, it was the Ashton brothers together for their last album. This was 2007. I saw this tour in the smallest venue in the United States that this tour played. This band played at the 930 Club. So I saw the tour, which was the Stooges reunion tour with Ron Scott, the Ashton brothers, and thankfully, thank God, they avoided a lot of this album during the tour, and they played the classics. But the funny thing was, they played a song or two that I can remember. My God, it's been 2007, and they didn't play. they might have played one song off the Weirdness, but they played another song that they'd all collaborated with Iggy from that album Skull Ring. They played that song or two off that album, but then everything else was the hits.
Oh gosh.
And the classic era Stooges hits is what they opened with. So, and what they played throughout the show. I found a really good recording of it, that 9:30 show. And the Weirdness is definitely my last. That's number 6 from 2007.
Yeah, I would agree with you, man. But they did pack a punch when they played live. That version of Loose and stuff, man, just unbelievable, man.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what they opened with
Whew. Is it?
in Washington.
That's great.
Yeah.
I just love that whole side, and you got Dirt, and you got all. It's funny. Lou Reed has Dirt too. I just realized.
Yeah, yeah.
Dirt. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
yeah, man. Number 6, my idea of fun is crazy. You know what? When you look at this too, and we're not alone. I mean, I don't know. My view is that I had it on CD. I still have it somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about it. I don't think it's like as bad as these people, but they're talking about Metacritic 44, Pitchfork 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that's what
Hideously disgraces a band original work. My feeling about it is almost like he was play acting. He wasn't. There was I
Yeah.
did a lack of sincerity in Iggy. That's what to me blew my mind. It was almost like he was telling himself, "Well, this is how Iggy
Yeah.
be, and so we're going to do it this way rather than just being natural." And I guess he didn't
Yeah.
have. He's back with these guys again and try-
Yeah.
trying to see what would work. I guess
Yeah, and it just didn't. And
not
and
at all.
it, like I said, it just seemed like low energy. I
And
mean,
no,
that band was all about energy, you
yeah,
know.
no edge to the guitar or anything at all. I mean, I
No.
love.
And the Ashton brothers were
Yep,
together,
yep.
for the
I
first
agree.
time in many years with Iggy.
Unfried, the end of Christianity, greedy, awful people. This is kind of weird. My idea is fun is the worst. Trolling, you can't have friends. ATM, it's okay, man. But they
It's
did, they did a version on the bonus tracks of "I Want to Be Your Man" by the Beatles. The Beatles song.
wow.
Did.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, yeah, that's my number 6 too, bro. So let's move on to 5.
Okay, 5 from 2013, Ready to Die.
Okay,
This one,
another one, Joe. Another one to put up.
Ron had passed by this time.
Exactly.
Ron actually passed not long after I saw them. In I think it was a year or two later.
Yeah,
Ron actually
we
passed.
forgot to mention Albini. You mentioned it in the
Al Beanie produced the
producer
Weirdness.
weirdness, right? Okay.
Yeah, he produced the Weirdness at Electric, and yeah, and
And this one, Mr. James Williamson,
James Williamson
Loudmouth,
is back on Ready to Die, right?
another
Yeah,
short record, man, 35 minutes. For at least for the time period, it seems super short.
quick, to the
Well,
point.
yeah, it seemed too brief to me to be like a normal. In that time period, 50 minutes was normal.
But some good energy on some of those
Yeah,
tracks. Definitely an uptick in energy to the band from the Weirdness that 6 year period.
yeah,
And with Williamson back in the fold,
right. See,
Ready to Die.
man, that's the one thing about their whole thing. I never understood how Williamson could just barge into the scene and the act.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's playing bass. Are you kidding? Are you serious? I mean, I just couldn't believe it took a lot of fucking balls, and especially when you hear some of that like stuff on Raw Power, the rawness of how nasty and raw and unbridled he was. It just was bizarre to me that it just a certain brashness to it, but he wasn't that great. Really sloppy too, and stuff.
And the one thing when you're speaking about Williamson, the one thing we did the one album that I actually had and I liked was Kill City at one time with
I did too.
that Iggy and James Williamson, that Kill City album. That was pretty tight actually.
Yeah, the title.
I would certainly take Kill City over the Weirdness or Ready to Die. That's for sure.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, Burn, Sex and Money. This has more edge to a Job. Gun
Yeah,
on Gun, Unfriendly. Whole first side's pretty good. Ready to Die is okay, and then it kind of falls apart a little bit on the second side. But
right.
it's some people like it a lot, and it's certainly way better
Oh, then the weirdness.
than
Yeah.
the weirdness. So that's my number five too, Joe. And I guess you can take it down, and we're going to proceed to Dino's number four here.
My number four, man, the top four here, they're interchangeable at times. They really are. Metallic KO. And
Okay, man. There we go, bro.
yeah, there it is.
Only six songs, man. Raw Power, Head On, Give Me Danger, side one. But side two's where all the fun starts. Rich Bitch, Cock in My Pocket, and Louie Louie.
Cock in my
That's
pocket.
bottle start,
Yeah.
brother. Huh?
Great band. Great album.
It is. It is. It
Metallic KO.
really was a big album in Kaiser too. I mean, everybody in Kaiser.
Oh, everybody had it.
Yeah.
Everybody, and whoever had it would borrow it and record it on cassette.
Yeah.
And that was a part of the Iggy and the Stooges canon that they had to have, was
That was.
Metallic KO.
No question about it. It was just so weird when you hear these bottles flying. You hear him saying, you buy your ticket, you take your chance. And he goes, you're doing that. He goes, you spent how many bucks? He goes, and I'm making 50,000. He goes, yeah, and everybody started hollering at him. He was headbutting. You got
Love that album.
some great things. That's my number four too, Joe, as well. Number four, I've got it here, Metallica.
Metallic KO.
We are identical through the bottom three, brother. Let's go ahead and move on to you.
We might separate coming up, but I don't know.
I don't know,
So
man.
we're going to go right back into some live action with number 3, Raw Power.
Oh my.
Yeah,
It's intense. What an intense
it's
record, man.
so good.
Search and Destroy. Give Me Danger. Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. One of my favorite penetration with that Celeste keyboard in there. Rock,
Yeah,
Shake, Appeal, and Death Trip, man. The end of it. I need
Shake Appeal.
the one, man.
Raw Power and recorded at what is that?
Western Studios, Hollywood. Recorded at CBS Studio, London.
Yes,
Photography, Mick Rock.
the legendary Mick Rock.
Yep. Represented by at that time by Main Man.
Yeah,
Didn't last
no kidding.
didn't last long, but
The boy Tony, who dismantled Bowie's band for him.
yeah, he sure did.
Oh
He
my
sure did.
God!
Well, that's your number three. My number three. I know they're interchangeable, man. So forgive me if this is not the if this is sacrilege to somebody, but my number three is going to be the debut. My number three is going to be
That's good.
69. I Want to Be Your Dog.
Oh
No Fun,
yeah,
Real Cool Time, and Not Right, Little Doll. This is just a power pack. John Cale produced. They didn't. They
and a lot of people don't realize that Cale produced that album.
Cale produced it. They ran it and just did it, and unbelievable. But the reason why, and I was saying this is the double one here. I have a single one in there. But the reason why I have this really is one reason. It's I like it, but again, like both of their first two records, it has a long song on it that just bores the shit out of. We Will Fall at the end of side one.
Yeah.
A little bit long and a little bit meandering and not interesting enough to. It
Did
killed
you
a little
hear?
bit.
It was either the Stooges or Funhouse, and
Yeah.
they released all those takes. It was like it's a 5 disc set or something on
Right.
CD. And it,
Yeah.
just take after take after take after take, and I'm like, I love the song, but I don't need to hear 34 takes of it.
I
You know.
agree, man. Where are you, man? Number two. Where,
Number 2, pull that right back up again.
uh, I'll put up my other version of it, the punk.
Stooges.
It's called Punk. It's my reissue here of it.
That's it.
John Cale, viola on We Will Fall. No Fun, Real Cool Time.
Real cool time.
What a
Oh man. That album was
no fun.
absolutely fantastic.
It was, man. I Want to Be Your Dog. I mean, just super. That's your number two.
That's 2.
My number two, dude. I just flipped with you, man. I went right back to the harshness and the.
Raw power.
One thing needs to be said about this is the various mixes. Now, there's the Iggy mix that was done later,
Yes.
not great. The Bowie mix, the
Yeah.
original mix that's bad, and then I heard there was another mix that was pretty bad that somebody
Yeah.
else. I don't know if who else did it,
Yeah.
but anyway, it's amazing to me. It's just so poorly. But I guess one of these records at the imbalance is just what it is what it is. And all of a sudden those big bursts of good guitar, like on Your Pretty Face Is Going to Hell. All of a sudden you hear this lead surge in from nowhere, from nowhere. You're like,
And
what did that come
and we could probably come up with a list as long as your arm of bands in the last 30 to 40 years
from? Yeah.
that have been influenced by the Stooges in those albums.
Death Trip.
They would readily admit it, you
Yeah,
know.
Death Trip, Shake Appeal. That's where it reached
Uh,
for me. Penetration to it. That keyboard dun na no na 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 at the end of it. It rules. Well, that only leaves number one, man. For
Number one is
you can
for
just
me it's got to be Funhouse. It always has been.
uh,
Um, that opening, what is it, Loose?
that's something else, man.
The
Down
first track.
first song, and then Loose is the second song. Yeah, and
Loose is the second song. What's the first song?
Down on the Street,
Out on the Street, man. That's yeah. Those two songs back to back are just
and then
they
Stevie Eyes next, man, with his
that's
awesome.
that's what I mean. That album's a calling card right there. Is what
You
that is.
again, it has the L.A. blues along
Uh,
the end, freak out, freeform freak out that all of them did.
yeah.
But I'm with you, man. 1970s better than 69 was. It's a better song. Fun Houses. The song Fun House too.
Uh,
A little bit of a jazz flip out, but man, yeah, there's nothing else like it. There's another
there's
record.
nothing else like it. And you know what? This is the funny thing. And I've connected these bands for a long time. When I think of those two albums, you know who else I think of? And they don't sound alike, but it's attitude and the lead singer and the band and
Who is it?
just everything. But I always think of the Doors when I
Well,
think
they're
of
Electra Records too, man. Yeah.
another Elektra Records band.
Yeah.
I think of those two bands together with their frontmen and their attitude towards the music, and the bands were great. I mean, you
Isn't it funny that at the peak of her thing, when she got away from Lou, Nico's first two bows were exactly those two people, Iggy and Jim Moore.
Iggy and Jim Morrison, of
That's
course.
amazing to me.
Morrison went after her. Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always liked to, and both of those bands in their own way. I mean, now what a double bill that would have been in L.A. in 1970,
Well, I'm sure it may have been like
69 or 70, and those two playing together,
yeah,
and
Rock Holzman's band. I mean, what was amazing to me when I did a research a little bit on the Doors was that small of a label, and it was completely independent at that time, was
oh yeah,
enough records to get the door to number two by Doors in 1966. That's amazing to me that they even could have the resources to manufacture that many to have that high of a thing. It almost shows you that they probably were even bigger than that because they
yeah.
didn't have the resources of Columbia or Warner Brothers or something like that.
Yeah, but I always think, because people talk about Lou and Iggy and Bowie, but when I think of the Stooges and going out to L.A. and recording in L.A. and their popularity in L.A., because they had good crowds there. I mean, people that's a place to play for them. It was a wild and free place there in the late '60s, early '70s. But I always think of the Doors in them. I think of Morrison and Iggy.
Yeah, they kind of had the same thing. I was more of a fan of Iggy than I was Morrison. I never was a big fan of Morrison's poetry. I think, Joe's probably the
Right.
controls there because he and I talk about it. He teases me all the time about it. But we did a
Yeah.
rad reading thing on the Doors too, just the other day. So it's an interesting that you bring that up. But again, yeah, they're kind
Well,
of
yeah.
connected. So,
And I the more I listen to, I've got some Doors outtakes and things like that I've collected. But the playing of Robbie Krieger was always like no one realized how good he was.
yeah,
There are times when he's just absolutely smoking live in
yeah,
some of those
he's
shows.
got some really good. The thing of it is that he played a lot of pad. The way he played is the fact of them not having a bass player really affected them
No,
a
he
lot.
did, and he did that without a bass player.
He played on the parts on the low strings a lot, but then was
Had to. Yeah, he had no choice.
yeah. I like that one record that they had on Passport, the Robbie Krieger, the one with that had the Pretender song on it with the slide on it. That
Right.
song on that was great. I mean, Mitch used to like that one a lot too. Mitch and I think I
Yeah, he was gifted. That's what I mean. Both those bands, the Stooges and the Doors, had both guys, Iggy and Morrison, benefited from having such good bands, different genres, let's say, but both very good bands behind them. Not just session players, not guys they recruited off the street. These were bands, you know. So,
hey.
uh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, with that, guys, I think we're gonna leave you here. This is the Stooges, our Stooges album rating. We will be back with a song rating and a rating for the Igster himself and his solo record here, and that, and of course we got a lot of other things we're going to dip our toe into, like
Absolutely.
these other ones that we've talked about, Dino. But we're going to get here slowly but surely. I'm thinking of maybe leaving. I've got a big Zappa one I'm going to do, but I'm going to wait to do that till the end of the year. I mean, till Halloween. That'd be a good time when he always did that. So since the Zappa Family Trust thinks Halloween masks are more important to sell than on vinyl, Phase 3, we'll wait till Halloween and we'll do a special trip
uh,
to Zappa Family Trust and Gail Zappa. You should see that new, if you haven't checked that out yet, the new
no,
Moon Zappa wrote a book. You believe her mother was favored two children over the other two children. They left of 100% of the estate, left Dweezil and Moon only 20% and left the younger two 30%. You believe that shit? What kind
really.
of does that? What kind of mother does that to the kids? It's so weird. They
That is.
dynamic. She was just, and her tolerance of knowing and what was going on with Frank and the way they had it going on. Everything's just so strange. But then
Oh yeah.
you should read that. I haven't. I actually Jay got me a hard copy of the book. He got two copies by accident. First time I read a hard book for a long time, but
Wow.
I think it's interesting. At least I'm a big Zappa fan. So,
So
but
you're going to do that later in the year?
yeah, I think so. We got some other ones to do. You and I got to do some songs. Maybe we can do some songs on some of the other ones that we've done too. But we'll
Now,
get.
did you guys knock out that Zeppelin?
We did not do Zeppelin yet. No, well, Zeppelin's coming. Zeppelin's on the way. So that's one of the many things. I promise you guys. We're in the process of doing lots of stuff. We will ask you if you would to please consider subscribing. Please like the video if you like it, and we'll also ask you to leave your list. We're interested to see what you think about the Stooges records. Everybody has a little bit of a different preference there, and I've seen them in all different rankings. And tell you the truth, 1 through 3 or 4, really, I don't think there's any argument either way on any of it. So
They're interchangeable.
you're
Yeah.
exactly right. But anyway, thank you all again for being along for the ride, and we will catch you next time. Thank you.
Thanks.